Ring around the rosies, a pocket full of posies, ashes. Oh, I'm recording. Welcome back, my legends, and today we're going to talk about Ash. Now, I've seen a lot of people talk about Ash, but they have not gone to the insane extreme lengths that I'm willing to go, because I'm about to give you not only the full history of Ash, but how it all connects in the Apex and Titanfall universe. So let's begin. So Ash was once a pilot for the IMC until one day she was severely injured and her mind was transferred into a robot body. So you guessed it, they turned her into a simulacrum. Now this speaks volumes to Ash, because you can just tell the fact that they turned her into a simulacrum makes her an exceptional pilot. So she was somebody the IMC could not afford to lose, which makes you wonder if this is what Ash would have wanted. Would Ash wanted it to be a simulacrum or not? So hold that thought. But here's the thing about Ash when she was a human. We don't really know much about her. In fact, we don't know anything. We don't know what her name was, how old was she. We just know is that she was turned into a simulacrum because she was in a very important pilot that the IMC could not afford to lose. Here's the thing though, back then we had no idea how simulacrums work, how you make a simulacrum, but now we have an idea. So the way it works is we can compare this to Revenant. So Revenant is also simulacra. In fact, he was the very first successful simulacra that happened in the year 2420. Now, why is this important? Because we kind of have an idea now how simulacras work. As we saw from the season 4 cinematic trailer, we see that Revenant's head is still alive after almost it's been over 300 years. So as long as they can keep the head of the original person's body alive, they can make some kind of source code. And basically what a source code is, I'm not gonna get too detailed with this because it might get confusing. Basically what they do is that they take your memories, your personality, and your knowledge about, you know, whatever you're good at, and they make it into some kind of source code. So why is this important? Well, because as long as your head is alive and they keep it safe, they can basically keep you alive forever and make copies of you as much as they want. This is what they did with Revenant, which makes you wonder again, is this what Revenant when he was a human would have wanted? So why is this important to know about Ash? Because here's the thing, in the year 2420, Revenant was the first successful simulacrum. He wasn't fully operational until the year 2440 because they found some problems, you know, like when every new thing comes out, there's always some problems, but he was fully operational, in which they gave him back to the syndicate. Now, why is this important? Because I've been saying this for a long time. Hammond Robotics and the syndicate have been working together for almost 300 years. They are two sides of the same coin. And this is where we get to the dark side of what I'm talking about. Are you ready? Because for 280 years, Revenant was under the control of the syndicate. In fact, he believed he was some kind of superhuman that was just working for them. He knew he was a simulacrum. Everybody else in the Titanfall universe that was some form of a combat unit knew they were simulacrums. Ash knew she was a simulacrum, but even though she knew she was a simulacrum, she still wore this mask, this white mask, because it kind of reminded her of when she was human. So it's very interesting because there's also a lot of lore bits telling us that once you become a simulacrum, it's not all fun and games. Like, you lose your humanity in some way, shape, or form, which again makes you wonder, what is a simulacrum? What really is it? Is it a miracle of science to keep people alive forever, or is it much darker than that? Well, we'll see, because in the year 2709, there was a hitman. This person, or should I say simulacrum, was the greatest hitman for the syndicate. If you wanted somebody silenced, he'll get the job done. So in the year 2709, Revenant took up a bounty of somebody who he needed to assassinate. Now, it's not known if Revenant had the free will to decide to take this job, or he was forced to take the job, or if he had false will into thinking that, hey, I want to do this job. We don't know yet. Something interesting happened during this time.
Protests turned violent recently as Hammond Robotics continues to face backlash for its controversial work on the Simulacrum program.
we see that simulacrums are now well known throughout the universe and that Hammond Robotics was getting backlash for the Simulacrum program. Now, why is this important? Well, we'll get there when we get there. But here's the thing. We know that Revenant had the job to kill Marcos Andrade, Lova's father. Anyone else that got in the way was collateral damage. And as we know, Revenant was able to kill Marcos Andrade. And unfortunately, it took the lives of Lova's mom. So this is why it explains why Lova was left alive, because he had no reason to go after her. It's only if she got in the way that Revenant would have done something. Now, why is this important to Ash? Well, because we later find out is that Revenant neuro-ego retention or neurotransmitter, something that makes Revenant think he's human, was broke, and Revenant realized the truth that he's a simulacrum. Now, why is this important? Well, because they were doing some tests and they realized that, hey, if a simulacrum sees himself as a simulacrum, they go kind of crazy or they go nuts. But here's the thing. Revenant was basically the first successful simulacrum that they create, and over time Ash was one of like the newer generation. So Ash could be a simulacrum and nothing would happen to her because she knows she's a simulacrum. But Revenant didn't have that kind of update. Revenant never was made where he's like, okay, I'm a simulacrum, it's okay. No. So what's the difference between Ash and Revenant? Well, Ash knew she was a simulacrum and she didn't mind it, or did she? Because you have to remember, the people who really have control of Ash are Hammond Robotics, because they built Ash the first time around because they needed her to be a pilot. So what happened, and this is some spoilers about Titanfall 2, so you've been warned. So in Titanfall 2, we learned is that Ash is working for Cuban Blisk, the original Apex Predators. In fact, Ash was made a lieutenant that was given control of an IMC Dynamics testing facility in the planet Typhon. Now, this facility was for researching weapons on wildlife and combat ability, and we know is that Cooper and BT found this place accidentally, and that BT was captured by Ash and Cooper needed to save him. But it goes deeper than this, because Ash and Cooper met earlier, and in fact they met in the beginning of the game, because in the beginning of the game, after escaping from the MCS McCullen, Jack was hurt badly and Captain Lasmosa was protecting him from the incoming enemy Titans, which we later learned were the Apex Predators, and one of them had a very special Titan. They had a Ronin Titan that can phase dash. In fact, that's how they were able to get the drop of Lasmosa. And why is this important? Because it's important because Lasmosa was Jack's mentor. He believed that Jack will one day be a great pilot, and unfortunately Jack was unable to do anything in this situation. But later on in the story, and I was not gonna add this because I thought it wasn't important, but I wanted to add to the drama. Lasmosa, before he died, he transferred operations to Cooper to become a pilot. So Lasmosa believed so much in Cooper that he was willing to give him his helmet and BT to become a pilot. The last thing Lasmosa said to Cooper was, please take care of him. When Ash and Cooper became basically linked together, they found this facility that was being run by Ash. When BT gets captured by Ash and we play as Cooper and we need to get him back, we hear stuff from the grunt saying that Ash is just a crazy robot. And here's the thing that confirms that she is crazy.
Now, this is Ash. I am sorry to report, due to your inability to contain the security breach, I have been forced to scuttle the entire complex. Some of you may consider this overkill.
Restocking Prowler containment array.
I suggest you evacuate immediately.
When she could not kill Cooper, she decided to blow up the entire facility even though there was IMC soldiers in it. This would be like if I couldn't kill a roach and I decided to burn my house down. This is the insanity of Ash, and how far should we be willing to go to solve a problem even though it's overkill. In fact, she even says that herself. So because Ash tried to destroy the facility, Cooper is able to rescue BT, and then after a few battles we get to fight Ash. Now, this is important because we see that Ash has a Ronin Titan. Now, why is this important? Because there was a Ronin Titan that attacked Captain Lasmosa, Cooper's mentor. So this match was personal because Ash was responsible for Lasmosa's death in a way. And something interesting about Ronin Titans is that Ronin Titans are meant to be fast and they can also phase shift, but I'll talk about that later. So if you play Titanfall 2, you know how it ends if you decide to execute Ash. We see that BT and Cooper crush Ash into a million pieces. Well, not maybe a million pieces, but they crush her. And Ash is presumed dead until we found out later on is that Benson Dynamics were able to rebuild her. Now, I'm guessing that this was before the end of the game of Titanfall 2 because it kind of will make no sense how they recovered that body, if you know what I mean. So it makes sense to me that they recovered her body before the end of Titanfall 2 and they rebuilt her. And here's the interesting thing about this. She now leads a field of ops on behalf of Benson Dynamics in hopes of discovering the truth about her. So Ash is trying to find out who she really is. And I'll talk more about this in part 2 about this theory. As for now, it says right here that Ash thinks she can find her memories and her truth about her existence within the Revenant fleet.
For that night so long ago.